Hello everyone, welcome to the Ceci Truman Live Show. This show will be starting in just a few moments, so stay tuned. And if you're seeing this on social media, please like, share, and follow. For more information, go to trumanforcongress.com. This show is brought to you by Ceci Truman. Here's Ceci.
Welcome everyone to the Ceci Truman Show. Today we will be discussing many topics with someone running for California State Assembly, District 53. His name is Nick Wilson, and you know, it is not too often that I have someone come on the show who's running for office, but Nick is someone I can get behind. He is a retired police officer. He is a devoted husband, a father. He is here to defend cops, kids, and communities. You know, constituents are so tired of politics as usual, and so it's very refreshing to see someone like Nick Wilson, who is not a politician, but he's here for the people. I want to show a brief clip as to what Nick does in his everyday life and also his fight for assembly in the state of California. So let's go ahead and roll that clip.
My commitment is 100%. I'm not going to stop. There is a wickedness. I do believe that this is a spiritual war.
Constitution and destroying it, and we're all suffering as a result, not just cops but everyone in California. The word defund is another Marxist radical progressive move to destroy our way of life in terms of our safety, which is a human right. You know, our cops are the first line of defense for us. Legislation that is restricting law enforcement from doing their jobs, unable to do anything about the crime crisis right now and the culture of lawlessness that the state has created because of their insanity. And we've abandoned not just our cops, but our crime victims and communities who are literally terrified.
No matter what side you're on, we've got to get back to a middle ground. We need what's reasonable. It is not objectively reasonable to have a school keep secrets from me, the parent, not from you. It is not objectively reasonable to send police officers out into the street, handcuffed, while dealing with career criminal offenders who wouldn't bat an eye at killing them.
I don't want my kid to be going to a school where there's boys walking into girls' bathrooms, and I certainly don't believe under this whole notion of gender affirming care that we should be mutilating our children. But they're saying, well, to be affirming and to support our kids who are confused or suffer from gender dysphoria, let's just cut them up, you know? And if the parents don't think that that's okay, then we're going to give them gender affirming care, then we're going to take them from their parents. And that's happening. I mean, you lack moral courage, you lose your integrity when you do something that you shouldn't, or basically do nothing at all.
Let's speak truth. We need to speak truth.
That is truly amazing. Nick is an articulate fighter, And I know he's going to be a superhero once he gets into the assembly seat. Everyone, welcome Nick Wilson to the show.
Hi, Ceci. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Nick, I know that you are going to be a superhero once you get into that assembly seat. And I look forward to, we need to fight for California. We need to change policy and laws because California is totally out of control right now. And especially when it comes to our children, there is a ballot initiative. It is protectkidsca.com. And that is referring to banning child sterilization, biological males and girls' spaces, and also keeping secrets from parents, which is, I know, something of top priority for you. Constituents are very tired of politics as usual, and you are not a politician. You are one of us. You are a fighter, and you're just like I am. We're so tired of the games that are being played, and America is in midnight hour. War is being infringed on us, and it's time for people to wake up, to activate and engage in the system and what is happening. The power is on the local level, although they are trying to take our rights away. But it's up to us to be informed so that we can push back against this evil.
Absolutely. And, to your point, the real superheroes are the ones that are behind the ballot initiative, Protect Kids CA, Protect Kids California. And that's Aaron Friday. That's Nicole Pearson. It's the group of people who have demonstrated leadership in our state to protect our children, people like yourself, Sonia Shaw, and just parents who are absolutely sick and tired of what's going on in Sacramento. Unfortunately, Sacramento has taken a position that does not benefit the people that they claim to represent. And so people, like you said, people are absolutely sick and tired of what's going on. They want, at the end of the day, to be able to send their children to school, know that they're actually getting an education without having a overreaching government that is dividing families. They want to put food on the table, and they want to be safe. And so we don't have that right now under the current leadership in Sacramento, or the lack thereof.
That's right. Nick, tell us where District 53 is.
So District 53 encompasses Chino, Pomona, Montclair, Upland, and Pomona. And so it is, it's a very diverse community. And although it is primarily a Democrat community,
stronghold,
we can't believe how much support we've gotten from Democrats because so many of them are sick and tired of what's going on. So this is going to be a very interesting race.
Right. I believe a lot of Democrats are finally coming to the realization that the Democrat Party has left them, because the Democrat Party is now communist, Marxist, it's radical, far left agenda. And I think with the mass exodus of the middle class happening in California, Newsom has the nickname of U-Haul salesperson of the year, or really the last 3 years, because for a while there, people couldn't even get a U-Haul in California because they were all taken up. Go figure. But crime is out of control, as you and I know. The governor has closed 50% of our prisons. They're putting, these high felony criminals into lower security prisons. We have homeless rampant, drug use is rampant in our metropolitan cities, LA, San Francisco, downtown San Diego. And, people are seeing the writing on the wall. It's very dangerous. We've got open borders. We've got terrorists coming into our country. Not everybody who comes in through our borders are terrorists, but, we've let in up to 20 million people through the open borders. And now they're being funneled into California. California is a sanctuary state for all of this. And, it's just become a banana republic here in California. And I know that you're going to fight to make changes for this.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, you pretty much nailed everything right on the head. The bottom line is that we are a state that is in crisis. Our legislature has created a culture of lawlessness.
Yeah.
There is a war right now against our law enforcement officers who are out there sacrificing themselves every single day to protect a community of complete strangers. Our crime victims are not getting the justice that they deserve. And people don't feel safe. And when that happens, there is a ripple effect. It affects businesses that are closing and people that are closing shop because they are being affected. We have a homelessness crisis that is being promulgated because of mismanagement of public funds and billions of dollars that have been unaccounted for, billions of dollars of our taxpayer money that has been thrown at a problem that has only gotten worse under the current Democratic supermajority. And so we have, a state that's supposed to be the fifth largest economy in the world. However, it's not business friendly. People are dealing with the bureaucratic red tape and the ripple effects of government overreach. We have parents that are working 2 and 3 jobs that are not able to really pay attention to the exorbitant amount of bills that are coming out of Sacramento that are that don't represent, right, the people of California that are just struggling to put food on the table and trying to figure out how to stay in a state that they once, loved. But unfortunately, it's becoming more and more difficult. People are getting this transcends party lines. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. People are sick and tired of what is going on. And you mentioned the border crisis. This is an invasion. I had the opportunity recently to go down and visit the border and to see firsthand what's going on down there. And it's morally reprehensible that they are allowing anyone come across the border. They're not searching them. And our taxpayer dollars right now are going towards a border invasion that is creating a national security crisis and is also affecting the local communities throughout all 58 counties in the state of California. So when you take a step back and you look at the big picture, public safety right now is a complete crisis. Businesses are failing. We've had over 1 million people leave California. And that's why we are seeing voter registration for Republicans up and voter registration for Democrats down, because the people are sick and tired of it. People think of California as a blue state. Things are certainly changing because the failed policies of the Democrats right now in Sacramento are the only thing that we can blame, because they have been in control of the state for over 20 years.
That's right. And we are over $80 billion in debt right now. And like you said, we're supposed to be the 5th largest economy in the world. And we are failing miserably. This Governor Newsom, he's a failure. Whether he's doing it on purpose or not, he's got aspirations to be president. And, you destroy a state and now you want to destroy a country. I don't think so.
Yeah, you're spot on. Yeah, he's an absolute failure. He does not represent the every single day American that is just trying to get by. He is, it doesn't matter whether it's public safety, the economy, homelessness, however you look at it, he's failed at literally everything that he's done. And does not deserve to be not only governor, he certainly doesn't deserve to be president. I pray for the country if he ever does become president, which I don't believe he will, because right now we are in the middle of recalling Gavin Newsom for the 2nd time, which I believe is going to be successful.
I think it's the 3rd time.
The 3rd time, yeah. I mean, and that speaks volumes, right? His resume is representative of years of progressive, radical agendas that people are finally waking up to. And it took this long, but thank God that we are here. And it's not just Newsom. It is Newsom and his
Attorney General
Bonta and his gang of thugs. Bonta is also another failure. Is supposed to be the chief law enforcement officer in the state of California. That is actually, I really question his support of law enforcement, because he's right now promoting taking away law enforcement officers' constitutional rights under the Fifth Amendment. If you see that going on right now in Los Angeles County, he is actively, and I hope your listeners pay attention to this, Bonta right now is actively engaged in subverting the efforts of public corruption investigations coming to fruition. He is part of the problem in California, while simultaneously attacking school districts who are trying to do the right thing in protecting children and parents, right? So these people, along with Tony Thurman and the rest of the gang, are not doing anything when it comes to our education and creating pathways for families to just get by and live in a state that they once loved. This is why I keep saying this transcends party lines, and the people who have really been behind Protect Kids CA are absolute heroes. And the people who are sick and tired of what's going on, for them, as apathetic as everyone is, and for those that think that their vote doesn't matter, it does. And you're the superhero for getting up and voting for change, despite whether or not you think it matters, because our children can't vote. It's up to us to try to effectuate change.
Well, I usually like to mention this fact that, and I don't think a lot of people realize this, but in California alone, there are 13.5 million churchgoers, Christians, you name it, but 13.5, 50% are registered to vote. 25% go to vote in the generals. 10% vote in the primaries. So we have the numbers on our side. We have the constitutional law on our side. We just need people to stop feeling so discouraged by what they're seeing, that they feel, they feel incapacitated. They're paralyzed by this, and this is mental, psychological warfare, really. And so I just want to implore the people, I'm talking to you out there, don't feel discouraged by what you see. And, that is an act of faith. Faith is believing what we cannot see. It's the evidence of what we cannot see. So you need to know that the numbers and the law is on our side. We need to stop allowing these thugs to run and ruin the state of California. Right, Nick?
Absolutely. And, at the end of the day, we have to remember what the principal foundations, the principal foundation of our Constitution are. Like, who gives the authority to these elected officials? We the people, right? A lot of people right now feel like their voices don't matter. They're not being heard. Their voices, their votes, and their money towards candidates won't effectuate change because of the supermajority. And, it's unfortunate and it's sad that we've gotten to a place in California where our rights are being infringed upon. And, I'll go so far as to say that right now in California, it certainly feels like the Constitution has been suspended because when we have to sue for the right to be involved in our children's lives, if we have to fight against a system so that we can ensure fairness, impartiality, all these things in this constitutional republic that we all grew up understanding, then we're not free. And so, it doesn't matter what angle you look at it, whether it's the economy and the cost of living, if it's the homelessness crisis that's really a homeless industrial complex because of public corruption, or you got the powers that be that continue to strip our rights away.
Right.
Parents who are sick and tired of what's going on, but don't know what to do.
Right.
This is the election cycle to get involved. This is not the time to be apathetic. And, to those people who feel discouraged, please know that we're fighting for the future of our children. And this comes at a time right now where, yes, people are stretched thin, but at the end of the day, we have a moral responsibility to do the right thing, to get involved, to put politics aside, to put principles first, and know that we're fighting for the future of our children and the ability to continue to raise our families in a state that was once great. But let's face it, this state is no longer great.
No,
this
and
state looks like a third world country now.
It does. Yeah, it's going downhill very quickly. And I will add to what you just said. We don't have the luxury any longer to be complacent, to be, like you said, apathetic, because it is truly midnight hour for America. I'm running for a federal position. You're running for a state position. But, like you said, when we look at the bigger picture of what is happening, I mean, literally, and I did speak with General Michael Flynn recently, and I asked him, is this World War III that we're in? And he said, yes, we are. This is a new kind of war. And that's what I want people to wake up and realize, that war has been declared on America. And we need to watch what is going on internationally. We need to watch what is going on in Israel, because those people that hate Israel hate America even more. And we have open borders, 20 million unvetted, mostly military-aged men. Thousands of Chinese nationalists have come through. We've got people from Egypt and Gaza. They want to let people in from Gaza now. And designated terrorist nations that have come into our country. And I just feel like they're waiting. They're waiting for the right time. And so it's very concerning to me. And so all of this, just makes me feel like, possibly, well, not possibly, we know this is all coordinated on purpose. There's the powers that be out there with millions of dollars funding these Marxist agenda. And so it's time for people who love the country, the freedom, what kind of nation are we going to leave our children and our grandchildren? And it is up to us, we the people. The power is with us. And, government officials, government agents are supposed to be serving us, not the other way around. We don't work for them, although we've become so complacent that now we are working for them. I mean, they're spending our tax dollars recklessly. And I mean, we're just completely in debt, not only in California, but as a nation, we are.
Absolutely. And you're right about everything that you said. At least, where I sit, I look at everything, and being a former law enforcement officer and having served on different task forces as a task force officer, this is not only just a national security crisis, national security threat. We have politicians who have abandoned their oath of office. Mm-hmm. The definition of domestic terrorism, right, are groups of people or individuals who use violence to advance whatever their political ideologies are. And we're seeing that on college campuses. We're seeing that, just every single day, people are seeing it, right? Unfortunately, politics has gotten in the way of our federal law enforcement agencies calling it for what it is. Mm-hmm. And kids can't go to class right now. This is endemic of a much broader issue right now in California and the country. We are a nation and a state in complete decline. And you got to take a step back and go, what's going on here? What's really happening here? Politicians and bureaucrats are putting their own self-interests first. They've abandoned their constituents. At the end of the day, like I keep saying to people, they want to be safe. They want to put food on the table and build their future. They don't want to step over homeless people to open up the front door of their business. Mm-hmm. Businesses are fleeing the state. The residents are fleeing the state. In the middle of this whole thing, my parents have left the state of California in the middle of this election. And, there's only one party here to blame, and that's Democrats, who have been an absolute failure. And, I keep saying it's time to put principles over politics, because look, there's problems on both sides and with, individual politicians. We, the people, have a voice. The Constitution in the country was founded upon the idea that, we, the people of the United States, have the ability to remove people from office who stop serving the people. But it requires people to kind of say, I've had enough. It's time to stand up. The other thing is, no one really pays attention to state assembly races. People look at like the presidential race and all that. They have to, really, I like to remind them that, it's your state legislature in California that is responsible for passing, authoring and passing laws that affect your everyday life. Right. So when it comes to all of the things that you have to pay for, public safety, all of it, it comes down to the legislature. And that's very important right now. And I'm up against an opponent that we're going to beat, we're going to win, as long as the people get involved and vote. And when they match our backgrounds and understand what's going on, I'm hopeful and pray that the truth comes out and people make the right decision, because this has nothing to do with red, blue, left, right. This is about what's right and wrong. And I commend you for everything that you're doing and calling out what is right, and the things that we really need to get behind, such as Protect Kids CA, because our state has waged war on parents.
Yes.
And that needs to be discussed and talked about. Let's just call it what it is. The state is promulgating the issue of child mutilation, which is unbelievable. And we see other countries banning it now because they've caught up with the times. And there is an indoctrination going on in our school, and people aren't really paying attention to it because they're so busy right now trying to figure out how to put food on the table. And you see these divisive words and groups right now attacking parents that are behind the parental rights movement, if you will. And they're using language that is entirely inaccurate.
Right, correct.
Such as, you're anti-trans, or it's a book ban. Well, no, that's not the truth, actually. Parents should be involved in what's going on with their children's lives, because we know that the best outcomes for children happen with parental involvement, not exclusion, right? We want what's appropriate, age-appropriate material in schools. We don't want what's inappropriate. We want kids to learn how to read and write and do math. And right now, more than 50% of our kids can't even pass,
grade level.
They're not passing. And so we have to fix this now. We have to start triaging. So, these are very important issues, and I'm glad that you're talking about it.
Right. Yeah. The state of California it's performing approximately around 48 out of 50 states academically. I've talked to principals, I've talked to teachers who are being forced to pass to the next grade level, students who are not doing even average work. They're getting D's and F's, but they're being forced to promote to the next level. And eventually this does become, in my eyes, a national security issue as well, because when China is training their fifth graders calculus, and our fifth graders don't know the difference between a man and a woman because they've been so indoctrinated with all this confusion, who is going to eventually run our military, which is all based in technology? In order to have excellent technology, you need excellent math skills. So, they've dumbed down education, especially in California. And the saying goes, So goes California, so goes the nation. It's kind of like cancer that spreads from California eastward. And, the people here fighting, we've got the fighters. Now we need the everyday regular people to get behind the fighters. And then, you know what? God might call some of those regular everyday people, because you and I are regular everyday people. We just decided, we want to take heed to the call. God called us, and so we're here to be a voice. We're here to fight. And so now we want to not encourage, but implore you all to please get involved. There's so many different ways you can get involved, whether it's I'll just give some ideas. You can support good candidates like Nick and myself that are willing to fight, willing to be truthful, and to be bold about what we're going to do when we get in office. You can help with the election integrity. You can link arms with people who can watch what is happening at the election offices. You can get behind groups like protectkidsca.com. I would implore you all, we only have until this Wednesday to finish collecting signatures. And so those signatures is kind of a last resort because, really our politicians should be working for us, but in California, they're working against us. So signing a ballot initiative, that's like a last resort to let our voices be heard. And so this ballot initiative is so vital. It's so crucial. All you have to do is go online and have 5 friends sign it, 10 friends sign it, and then just send it back in by Wednesday, the 15th, I believe is the date. Right, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. It's critically important that people get behind Protect Kids CA, that they sign it, because they have to understand that our legislature has failed the citizens, the people of California, the parents, the students. And so, Erin Friday and her amazing team have gotten this ballot measure in order, and we have got to, as a last resort, since the legislature won't actually protect kids, get behind this. And it's really unfortunate that Bonta decided that he was going to rename this ballot measure. And when people really see that, they have to understand the depth of the darkness, for lack of a better term, and how much they don't want this stuff to pass. You got to start really asking yourself why. Look, at the end of the day, Ceci, we have an active border invasion of people who are here that should not be. We have prisons that are closing. We have prison yards that are closing. I just spoke with a correctional officer today who's being transferred from one prison to another. Here in Chino, we've got death row inmates being transferred from up north down to lower security prisons.
Right.
This is happening. There's going to be approximately 700 more death row inmates transferred throughout the state. We have a culture of lawlessness that was created by our state legislature. We have an economy that is in absolute decline. Parts of California look like a third world country. Parents are trying to put food on the table, don't feel safe with their kids walking across the street or playing in the park. This is not the same state that we grew up in. And it's time that we use our voices to take our state back and put the politics aside and say enough's enough. The Democrats have absolutely bled us out. And that's representative of their policies, are representative of the failures that we see, feel, and experience every single day. So, this is now for our children, and it's time to get behind our law enforcement officers who are heroes, and make it about them, our kids, our communities. Our children deserve that. And they deserve as much parental involvement as we can try to hopefully inspire with the constituents who unfortunately are very tired in this district. But this is the time to charge the hill with the right people.
And, I just want to remind people that, we had in American history, we had the Revolutionary War, we had the Civil War, we had World War I, World War II. And you know what? Now is our time. This is our battle, our war. And, God just wants us to be good stewards over the Constitution, this freedom that's been handed to us. from the previous generations that were brave, courageous. They fought and bled, and some died on the battlefields for our freedom. And it's not okay for us to be complacent, to throw all of that away, because our kids, our grandchildren are counting on us right now. Because, truly, and I did speak with General Michael Flynn, and I asked him, and his opinion is that if Trump gets into office, and I know Trump is, I won't bring you into that, but I am a Trump supporter, because he proved himself through policies. And so that's why I have endorsed him. And we need to have Trump back in office, because he promises to reclose the borders. There's going to be accountability. He wants to, get rid of the banana republic and all the lawlessness in the land. When Trump was no longer the president, we experienced the world to be destabilized. And so we need stability back. Is he, the end all be all? Do we worship him? No. But you know what? He is a man who loves freedom. He loves America, and he has fought for us. And so the choice is Marxism on the left or freedom on the right. That's our choice right now.
I couldn't agree more. And this is what people, history is a good lesson. It's a good teacher, right? And a great predictor of the future. And we are going through a Marxist cultural revolution right now. And we have to remember, we went through the civil rights movement, right? And we grew up, understanding the principles and the teachings of Martin Luther King, who said that he wanted to have his children grow up in a country where they weren't going to be judged based on the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And right now, under DEI and all this nonsense, all we're talking about is race and this and that. And we're teaching kids to look through the lens of color and race. We're digressing. We're not progressing.
Right.
You're talking about Trump. Let's just face it. At the end of the day, the Democrats promised Build Back Better, and build Back Better right now, when you take a look at it, it looks like the biggest sham you've ever seen. And it's unfortunate that we live in a time now where if you have an opinion as to who you want your president to be, you're either a radical extremist, they're calling them now Christian, white nationalist, whatever it is. It's bogus. What happened to just having an opinion and being in a constitutional republic where you can have an opinion without being labeled?
That's right.
Unfortunately, they are going after our former president, and that's unfortunate to see, because things were better under Trump.
They were. Economy,
and
security,
the whole thing. And
yes.
So, I'm not allowed to talk about, I can't wait until this election is over. And Ceci, I can't wait to, if you're still doing your show, can't wait to talk about what I've learned and experienced, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be talking about a lot of things that the people need to know about their political system in both California and the country. And, I'm just a parent here, and I live in Chino, and my wife and I said, well, what can we do? And I saw Sonia Shaw and everything that was going on with the Chino Valley School District. And I've been on the front lines of fighting for our cops and going to hospital rooms, visiting injured cops, going to funerals, because our legislature has failed our cops, created a culture of lawlessness where they've empowered criminal offenders. We're seeing this excessive crime wave and violence towards our law enforcement. So at the end of the day, it was, I guess this was the last, thing to do, right? How do I teach my son how to fight, other than to say, it's time you stand up, pen is mightier than the sword. It's time to legislate our way out of this. I never wanted to run, just like I'm sure you never wanted to run. But it's gotten to the point where we're following the footsteps of other parents who said, enough's enough. we have to take things in our own hands and fight for the future of our children, because the failed policies of the Democrats it's not going to work anymore.
No, it's not.
And there's no cavalry coming to save us.
Right.
We have to work together to effectuate change. And so that's
and we can.
We can
do this, because again, we've got the constitutional law on our side.
Right.
And we have the numbers, and that's what these radical leftists don't want us to realize. And so I will continue to implore everyone. And you know what? I'm going to put a little plug in, because you mentioned the bigger picture as far as, what is being inflicted on our nation. I would ask everyone to go to flynnmovie.com and actually go to Amazon, download his movie. He's promoting it right now. And he talks about everything we just discussed. And it's so eye-opening, and, you will be moved and moved into action. And so you will be encouraged, because, collectively, there's power in numbers. And so that's what people need to know. And so go ahead, Nick. What were you going
to say? And this radical left, these Democrats are not the same Democrats you and I grew up watching, right? The Kennedy Democrats. These are progressive Marxist, far left people that don't represent the values that our nation was founded upon, right? I'm thinking as you're speaking, and I think it's so important for people to remember, because people don't want to say anything. They don't want to use their voice. They don't want to get loud, because the left is so good at being so loud and shaming people, trying to silence people. But you're right. We are the majority. Okay. The media does a great job of, covering all this stuff. And it makes it seem like we're outnumbered, but we're not. We are the majority, and the majority of both Republicans and Democrats in my district and throughout California and the country want the same thing. They want to be safe. They want to make money and keep it, right? They want to raise their children without government interference. They want to be left alone, right? This is the land of the home of the land of the free, home of the brave. And this is the time to start demonstrating that. And remember that we have a constitution that, yes, right now it's completely under attack. But, there are mechanisms in place in the Constitution that talk about how to use the Constitution to our benefit and oust the politicians that no longer represent us and start fighting for the values that our country was founded upon. That's very important. So the issues with our kids, the issues that we're seeing with the corruption in Sacramento, the issues that are affecting the everyday lives, can be resolved if we get involved. And this is the time to do it. 2024 is a critically important year for change. And the people who have abandoned us, who have been engaged in putting themselves before their constituents, are going to be held accountable.
That's right.
And, if we remember, no justice, no peace, right? It's not justice to send our cops handcuffed into the streets, expecting them to sacrifice their lives handcuffed. Right. It's not justice to keep secrets from parents when we send our kids to school. It's not justice to recklessly spend taxpayer dollars, bankrupt the state, and then continue to ask more from people who can't even put food on the table. And it's certainly not justice to close down prisons and at a rapid rate continue to accelerate the process of releasing career criminal and offenders into the community. None of this is justice. It's not reasonable. It's not the American way. So we have to get back to what's right, and we have to protect our communities, our kids, our cops. That's reasonable. That's America. And we got to get back to that.
Amen, Nick. That was great. And, I like to also add, we got to reverse the curse.
Right.
We can do this. We can do this collectively. We can do this together. It's been done before in history, in American history. We can do this once again, and it's time to get back to sanity. And there are excellent. The mainstream media is totally tainted and corrupt, but there are some networks that are still providing news. We've got OAN is one of my favorites. OAN, One American News Network, Newsmax. And Right Side Broadcasting is a great one as well. And then, there are others. So we've got to be very selective with the news and, the information that our minds are receiving, because again, this is psychological warfare. So we must be very meticulous. We must be very intentional about what information, what news we are receiving.
Yeah.
Very important, because we don't want to fill our minds with propaganda and confusion.
Right.
This is what they do to our children as well in the public school systems. And
you're right. It is, and so is General Flynn. It is psychological warfare. And we saw countless examples of that psychological warfare being employed on us since 2020. And we're still seeing the lasting impacts of that psychological warfare, which is, common throughout history, that psychological warfare be employed on people. Unfortunately, it was never meant to or designed to be used against the American people. And so the propaganda that we're seeing is something that we have to battle by being discerning and speak truth and not be afraid of speaking truth. Right. And I just hope that at the end of the day, people use common sense when it comes to voting, and it's time to get common sense in Sacramento, because I'm sure you're feeling it when it comes to the increasing cost of living. And, I know a lot of people who continue to leave the state. What happened to California?
It's so difficult. I mean, we're paying, almost double in gas. My husband wouldn't believe me for the longest. I bring him to the grocery store now. I told him I'm not spending any extra money. This is the grocery bill. And, we're spending more now being empty nesters, almost feels like, than when we had our kids in the house. And so I don't know how families are doing it. And it breaks my heart, because I know they're struggling to make ends meet.
I was just telling my wife the other day how it's heartbreaking for me to see people taking out certain grocery items when they're in line, because they're looking at the price and they're thinking, okay, you know what? I can't afford this. We can do without that. And that's heartbreaking. Like, what happened? What happened was that we have a bunch of career politicians that are all about, staying in power, taking big corporate money, and abandoning their constituents. And you know what they do right at the end, towards election time? They start getting kind of hard on certain issues, key issues that are affecting the community. But meanwhile, over the last 12 years, they've been, hiding, they've been doing nothing. And
they don't want face-to-face contact with the people. They don't want to answer questions. And they just want to stay in their seats of power, and they don't want to be confronted with we the people.
Yeah. And, it's pretty unbelievable to me. I got into this race because, after the whole war on cops, which is still going on, seeing at the end of the day what was going on in the school district in Chino, and listening to Sonia Shaw, school board president, and her saying, hey, you got to come speak at the school board. We don't have enough fathers, and I'm like, what could be going on at our schools? And waking up to seeing what was going on. And this is all still this Marxist, activist people who are
part of the teachers union.
Well, the teachers union too. I mean, look, they're not about, the education of our children. It's all social justice stuff, and none of it belongs in the classroom.
And it's not justice either.
That's not justice.
It's not indoctrination.
It is 100%. It is. And let's We just have to speak truth about that. I mean, if you open up a Educator magazine, I'll show you right now real quick. When you open up an Educator magazine, okay, right here, it's all about social justice. Okay, it has nothing to do with our kids. It's about anti-law enforcement.
Oh boy.
You know, look at this. It's all about anti-law enforcement, and they are pushing an agenda. And you can't tell me as a parent that if I decide, like any other parent, that I want to know what's going on with my child in a school, and I want to be notified of something that is of great magnitude, right? Which is why Sonia Shaw and the school district passed a parental notification policy. You can't tell me that I'm anti-LGBTQ, I'm a bigot, I'm this or I'm that. No, I just think it's reasonable to want to know what's going on with my child. Like if he got a bee sting, if he was truant or absent, right?
And also if he's gender questioning, because that's what the sex education entails. They're trying to confuse our children with this sex that's so graphic, so vile, it's XXX. And that's why parents should, we need to grab the bull by the horn and consider alternatives, because, and I did homeschool, Nick. I homeschooled 15 years, graduating all three of my sons. I don't say it to brag. I say it to encourage parents to think about that as a viable option, because, we've got to rescue the souls of our children right now. And, if you decide to homeschool, I say go to those school board meetings and continue to fight, because it's not just about our family and our children only. We need to fight for our communities and for our cities and state, because these kids are going to grow up one day, and what kind of society will we have? Are we going to live in a communist society? Do we want that for our future? No, we don't. So parents, go to school board meetings. They're once a month, plug in, get involved. There's things that you can do that are not going to infringe on your everyday life, but it's gonna cause you to want to tell your neighbors and and spread the word. And again, numbers are on our side. Nick, we are totally out of time, but I really enjoyed my conversation with you. And you know what? Don't give up. No matter what happens with this assembly race, I'm so glad that you've got momentum on your side and the community is behind you. My prayers and our prayers are behind you. But just stick with it, Nick, because you've got a great message. And again, his message is to defend cops, kids, and communities. And I love that. I love that message you have. So
thank you very much, Ceci. I appreciate all that you're doing, and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, Nick. And we'll have you back again. We'll get an update closer to November, and we'll see how your race is going. But Godspeed to you. And I always like to end the show with 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, will seek my face, will turn from their wicked ways, then God says, I will hear from heaven, I will answer your prayers, and I will heal your land. And that is a promise from the creator of the earth, the sky, and the galaxies, plural. So you guys, we have God. That is awesome. I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, God bless you. God bless you all out there in the audience, and God save America.
This show was brought to you by Ceci Truman.